Hello world, as I am being told how to dress and what to wear and how to act. We are on a climate change protest number 26. This is Tanya in the square with me. Hello. Yes, and we got a guy rooting for climate change. That's a victory for him. Anyways, so it's nice to be back in Gettysburg, sort of. He's live on video, and he's in charge. Yeah, he's doing good. So, anyhow, so we have severe heat going on throughout Europe right now, and as France and Spain is experiencing severe heat, it's a weather event, but it's an indication that the system is getting out of control. France is setting new records for all-time heat, and presently the permafrost is losing massive amounts of ice and methane, and right now we're getting some real weirdo stuff. But anyways, so up north with the permafrost loss, you have methane escaping, and eventually what will happen is the whole Arctic will be lost, and it'll eventually, the cold will shift over to Greenland, which is 17 degrees farther east. Eventually, what that does is cause even more massive disruption in the jet stream, and you're going to have more droughts, more floods, more heat events. So what we're happening in the Midwest as well is that you're having heat as well as flooding going on. So the farmer's going to have trouble growing more and more food. They are experiencing what happens is humans are very good at adapting to the situation, but their food is not, and their habitat where they live and everything is not that well adaptive, such as floods and extreme heat events. So if the grid goes down or there's flooding happening, you can't live there, and you very well can't grow food if there's extreme events going on, such as cold and heat and flooding. So the crops won't grow. And in the winter, coming out of winter, you have periods of heat, and then you have extreme cold events, such as snaps or snow events. So the question comes down to whether you're going to have enough food to eat and whether the grid stays up to keep you cool when the heat occurs. Last night they had the Democratic debates on, and they briefly discussed climate change, and they said it's the biggest event in human history, and then they go into another subject which defies all logic. It really should have an entire debate just based on climate change and forget all the other events, because it's important that you have these various things such as gun control and immigration and whatnot, but what the overarching issue is climate change, and you're not going to even have a society if this persists the way it's going to persist. Presently, with the loss of the permafrost and the Greenland melting situation, things are occurring about 70 years faster than what they predicted. So that means the extinction event's coming 70 years earlier too. So they were saying everything before was going to happen in 2100. Well, now you're down to 2030 if you do the math. So it's not a good situation developing, and if you have children, you really should be out here protesting. My wife and I are out here again, and we're the only two, as usual, out here, and it's not a good thing. You're going to need a whole political change, a whole governmental change throughout the world, and quit seeing things as everyone having their own borders. Because the world doesn't have borders. If you look in space, it's just one big place where we live, and everyone affects everyone else. So you can't help but be concerned. Excuse me? What's that? Okay. Anyways, you get some people that are good responders, and then some people, for some reason, see the need to argue about climate change when the whole world's turning to shit in front of them. So it's kind of a weird situation around here in Gettysburg. Anyways, so my whole thing is that we need to step back and look at ourselves and see, is this the government that's going to lead us into the future? And most likely, all the governments in the world are not getting on board with the situation that's happening and going to happen within the next 7 years. So it's an extreme event, and it's coming. And whether we survive as a civilization is up for grabs. The Earth won't die, nature won't die. It'll just, it'll mutate in some other organism will take over. But the question is whether humans will survive. And we live in a very small area as far as comfortability and survivability. So any change, such as extreme heat or cold, are going to result in the death of billions of people. So hopefully everyone will get it together and start realizing that things are not going well. But my guess is what will have to happen, and this is my prediction, this is in your face tough love stuff, is we're going to have thousands, if not millions of people that die. And then eventually people will get on board and decide to make a change. And by then it might be too late to mitigate. But this warning stuff and given warnings by scientists and people like ourselves and other protesters is not cutting it. And to have children out there protesting when it should be the adults that are taking action is just absolutely insanity. Children should have a chance to grow up and enjoy their lives, and they're out there protesting. And the adults continue on with their stupid-ass lives, driving the cars and doing whatever they do, and voting for the same type of politicians over and over again. And in our country, it's Democrat and Republicans, and there's not much difference between the two. They might think it is, but the systemic change is not there, and they're not willing to boldly go forward and just turn things over and start over. So, I'm kind of at a loss where we're headed. I'm disjointed in my conversation today because of it. So hopefully next Friday I'll do a better talk on July 5th at 11 a.m. And I wish people would be out here in Gettysburg, PA. There's no reason people aren't out here. You got tons of retirees, you got visitors, you got kids that are on college break that aren't doing anything, and you got kids at high school break that aren't doing anything. So there's a wide variety of people. There's more than enough people to be out here rather than just us two for our 26th climate change protest. So next 27th protest is next Friday, July 5th, and hopefully someone will do something.